Hello viewers, Marianne from Revealing Light Tarot. How are we all today? Wherever you are in the world, I hope that you're just fine and thank you for tuning in. Today I want to look at a few things. I want to look at why Donald Trump, first of all, the overall theme is just what is Trump playing at the moment. But he was due to hold a rally on Juneteenth, which is in Tulsa, and he's postponed that. That, of course, is the anniversary of the end of slavery in the US. And, of course, with the backdrop of Black Lives Matter protests and the really strong, overwhelming sentiment. It's more than sentiment; it's feeling. And I do intend to do a lunar reading in Cancer, the full moon eclipse, lunar eclipse in Cancer on the 20th to the 21st of June, depending on where you're located across the world, because that's bringing forward a new kind of feminine type of energy where we're not looking to leaders to incite that energy of war and division, where we're looking to tap back into unity, and because we've seen basically what disunity and division yields. We reap what we sow, and we're seeing that now. But I'll leave that for that eclipse in Cancer reading, which I'll probably do in the next couple of days. If not after this reading, depending on how I feel. But back to Trump. It doesn't seem, whichever way he goes, he is winning, and he likes to win. We had the General Milley, come forward and apologise for being present and for having troops on the ground in relation to those protests in DC. We all know that he was taken along with the Cabinet Secretary of Defence, Mark Esper, to the church, and they both posed for a photo op. Well, both are regretting that, and General Milley has gone one step further and has issued a national apology for that. So things are changing. The kinds of rhetoric and gaslighting that Trump brought through at one stage, which, shocked us. Then we fought back against it. Then we didn't want to hear it. Then we thought of him as something to really not take, I guess you have to take him seriously, but in terms of the character of the person, we dismissed that character because we saw it over 3.5 years, to now where we're kind of going around him and other leaders like him to accomplish what we need to accomplish. So he had originally, and this is where I come back to, what he's doing, what he's done in the past, his political strategies of the past are no longer working for him. Now I want to look at, why did he postpone? Why did he hold the rally in the first place? Why did he plan to hold the rally in the first place on that date? Why did he postpone it? What's his intention regarding race baiting? Because we know that's what he's doing, and is it working? So let's have a look at those questions, and finally finishing up with, does he have the military in his pocket? Because if he was betraying, he did. If he overstepped the boundaries, and the military have really, I guess in that apology, declared their independence. Okay. Let's start with, why did he postpone that rally to the next day? So I think it is now on the 20th, not the 19th. So let's have a look at, why did he postpone that rally? Why did I think he understood that what he was doing, and this is where I get to in my intros, They are a roundup of my intuitive impressions. What he was once doing is no longer working for him. In my Trump in June reading, I think it was, I talked about him actually looking at polls. A couple of days later, we found that he was examining polls, and there's some question mark over whether or not he's going to dismiss his current campaign manager, Brad Pascal. It wouldn't surprise me, although he may restructure. So what I'm feeling is that Pascal will be reassigned to another role, and he will bring a new campaign manager in. Pascal may just handle digital or may handle something else. But clearly I feel that he is now, people are showing him the polls. He's realising what position he's in, and he's for the first time, he's actually stepping off the arrogance which blindsides him, which has always blindsided him. And he's starting to realise that defeat is a real possibility. So let's have a look at why did he change that date, the rally, from Juneteenth through to the 20th of June in Tulsa. Let's have a look. Why did he change that date? Yeah, I feel he got advice. I feel that he got advice and he listened to it. So the fool, in this case, it would have been foolish to go ahead, but it's also he wanted a new start. So the events, you may have noticed that he's been reasonably, apart from his Twitter feed, he's been reasonably, for him anyway, I won't say measured, I don't know quite what the word is, less visible in his gaslighting, perhaps reining it back just a notch, not much, just a notch, because he was given some fairly sobering advice, I feel, and he heard it. This is also, I felt in my Trump in June reading, he was also using his own intuition to really tap into the possibility that he may not win. And I do feel that this is sort of like a first for him. If you think about the midterms, he was so crushed following the midterms, yet the evidence was always there that there was going to be a fairly significant Democratic victory. He did not consider they might take the House. So he's now, somebody has said something to him which has, the penny has dropped. So he's winding it back a notch. But this isn't for any other reason than he will bring it out at another time. He is challenged by the Empress, and in some ways, this is Russia, Russia, Russia. But it is also a goal not coming to fruition. So his new start talks about he can't get it. It's just not going to happen. At another level, because I read in layers, these two cards show me that we are moving in. These are signifier cards. We are moving into new starts. And again, I'm getting a link to my forthcoming reading around the eclipse in Cancer on the 20th, 21st of June. We are moving into new starts. We are bringing through a more, the divine feminine energy, a more passive, intuitive, nurturing kind of energy is beginning around that eclipse time. So things are changing for Donald Trump. Does he have a place in the future? We know, you and I know, that he doesn't. Let's have a look at the signifier card. So the Eight of Pentacles talks about a lot of work that needs to be put in. So again, I'm getting that he was given advice, he listened, he understand. The penny dropped, as we like to say. I think that was one of my Nana's sayings, the penny dropped. And when the penny drops in, you just know. You don't need really much evidence because you already know. So he understands that there is a lot of work to do between now and the election. And what he once did may not be as effective at this time. because however, I should say that this is his only political strategy. So while he might dial it back a little bit of a notch, he'll bring it out. He'll wait for the time and bring it out. Will there be such a time? I think you'll find that there won't be. In the past, between now and November, in the past we have the Four of Swords. This is retreat. This is stepping back and retreat. So these cards are, I'll bring the laptop down, are fairly on point for this reading. So let's have a look. A lot of work needs to be done between now and the election. He's received advice. He's taken it. Very rare for Trump. The Nine of Wands in crowning this reading in the sky. This is him really getting beaten time and time and time again. Even though it doesn't feel like it, even though we feel that we might be at his mercy, there has been a decided shift. Okay. He's got a lot of enemies, I also feel, and he understands that. Let me just push this back a bit so you can really see those cards. Okay, so the Nine of Wands crowning this reading. It is a defeated energy. If not defeat, then it is wounded in battle, somebody that is getting tired. Now, if you look at Trump, I've always said that his health is not the best, and of course you can look for all the commentators who say that he is in decline mentally. I do feel that that is the case. I have readings posted on my timeline if you want, on my feed, my video feed, playlist feed. You can scroll back and see those readings. The Three of Pentacles coming together. This is working in teams. That's in the future. I feel I'm getting a real draw to his campaign staff and who he might bring in to try and help him, because he is heeding. I do feel he is heeding the warnings. But this is also sitting alongside the Empress, which is my card for Mother Russia. So Trump is looking like he's been beaten down. He's not winning bigly, as he likes to say it. Who's he going to turn to? What's he going to turn to? What are going to be his strategies in the future? And this is what is in this reading. Let's have a look at the environment. This is heavy emotions. This eclipse that I keep talking about, forthcoming eclipse in Cancer. You will see that we're in the lead up to that now. We also had an eclipse in in Sagittarius, sorry. That's because my moon is in Libra, but an eclipse in Sagittarius. And that people were able to express their emotions. So nothing, well, I'm not going to say nothing, but things weren't being bottled up. What happens when we stop bottling up our emotions? We start to become authentic. And so this is what this Ace of Cups is saying. We are moving away from his type of energy, this shock, disbelief, into authenticity. Let's have a look at the environment around this. Ten of Pentacles. Okay, so to me, again, I'll read in layers. This is high emotions around people like Trump and who aren't providing the leadership that they should, who are there clearly for their agenda, to tax breaks for billionaires, you name it. There's that kind of new energy moving through. So woe betide a leader that is looking to do things in the same way as they did before. But this is also the recession. This is also what COVID has done to our employment, to our savings, to our financial security. We are highly, highly emotional at the moment. If Trump doesn't understand these very, very overriding emotions and fears and insecurities, this is why the protests are sparking. They are sparking because people are in a highly emotional state. And we have an eclipse coming up, a solar eclipse coming up in Cancer, the sign of emotion. So this is the kind of energy that we're in and we're moving into. The Queen of Pentacles in the hopes and fears. Again, people are vulnerable at the moment. They are vulnerable, they are emotional, they are worried about their own income, they're worried about their national security as well, the economy. All of these are uppermost in their mind. But there's something else there that, which is in the interesting nature, I feel, of America. That even though these, and I guess us all, because we, in some ways the world is borderless. We don't have those borders. In Australia, we had the protests, and I'll talk about that shortly. In the UK, there's been massive protests in France, all with the same kind of flavour. We want justice. We want equality. We want better representation. We want more security. And that's why this card is also a hope. Now, I talked about the divine feminine energy moving in. Some of my early readings in January talked about this. December, January, February. Some of my tarot scopes talk about this divine energy moving in and replacing that kind of toxic, divisive, masculine energy. Now, please, I'm not reading in genders. What I'm talking about here is energies. This is the way we describe them. We talk about a masculine energy, that pushing forward, that Mars energy, pushing forward at all costs. And then we talk about this more passive, unified approach, but equally as strong. And this is what the Ace of Cards represent, the Ace of Cups has been representing. So our hope is for that security. We don't want any more games. We don't want any more rhetoric. We don't want any more gaslighting, and we want change. So in other words, the energies that were around in 2015-16 have switched, have done a complete switch, turned upside down. And we have this new energy coming through. And that is why people are looking to Biden's leadership, because he does not project. And I looked at some polls the other day, project that divisive, disunity, gaslighting type of energy, aggressive energy. He projects a more tempered type of energy. And he's doing quite well with female voters in America. So here we have the outcome, the Queen of Swords. He did listen to logic. He was advised. The penny dropped. He started to look at this logically, and he started to understand that those things that may have worked in the past may not work in the future. This is almost in my I think it was, I'm not sure, I lose track of my readings, either my Trump in June or Trump in the next 6 months. I talked about the Ace of Cups came up. So there was this attempt to try and schmooze people, to try and win them over. The way he does that is on the economy. He talks about, I've got the greatest economy. You know the rhetoric, and of course, we know that Obama left a very rock-solid and growing economy, which, Trump has wound down. And I think the full extent of this, because I do feel we have Neptune and Mars conjunct. I think it is in the 11th house around that eclipse time. And I do feel that this points to, when I look at the astrology intuitively, I do feel this points to figures being fudged. So this it will be revealed. Now, we already know he manipulates polls. He got Michael Cohen to do that. Michael Cohen, his Mr. Fixer, is on record saying he does that. I think that we just simply can't trust anything he says. So his usual rhetoric is not working. We have the King of Wands. So I go to the Senate. What else could Trump try? What other strategies could he try? Well, look no further than Lindsey Graham's I think he issued, was it 60 subpoenas, his witch hunt into in the origins of the investigation into Russia, which I feel intuitively is going to backfire on the Republican senators and Trump. However, I never underestimate the dirty tricks. But I'll read on that again. So why did he shift? He shifted because the emperor did not quite know what to do, and somebody told him he was losing, and he had to do a moving away and a retreat from what he had planned to do, which was this, I feel, rampant race baiting. He moved away from that and was restricted in some way. Now, I am going to just look at what he has planned, what political strategies he's got planned for the future, because I don't think that his race baiting is working. We do have some, I guess, right-winged militia turning up at protests, but I feel we're beyond that point. The majority are marching, the minority are standing there so far peacefully with guns. Let's have a look at what he's planning. What are his political strategies? What are his dirty tricks coming up in the future? What are his political strategies? Trump's political strategies for the future in the lead up to November. What is he planning? So what I'm getting, I just got a really strong blurring, that kind of seven of cups energy. So I feel that he is going to somehow try fudging things. I feel it's not just one. So look for some of those figures. Again, we know that the stock market can be manipulated, but again, we've got this resurgence of COVID, or if there's not a resurgence, it's continuation. I did in my previous readings, I've said that those states that opened too quickly were going to have a spike, and that was just common sense, which the cards backed up. We're seeing that occur now. But is there going to be another resurgence of COVID to the point of, really, really worrying? Well, that's a possibility. But Trump has got an ailing economy and he has still COVID present in the country, in the US. And so talking up the economy, fudging some polls, fudging some figures, whatever he's going to do, is not really going to hide what is the reality of what is occurring. So, what's going on here? First of all, let's just go back to the protests in Washington and the way that those protesters were treated, that show of strength that Trump perpetuated, tear gassing, rubber bulleting. When I say tear gas, the pepper bombs, the capsicum spraying and bombs. Let's have a look. Was this part of his agenda? Was a military? Did he want to establish some kind of military force, military coup, really to get the military on side? Was this his intention? So I'm feeling, what I'm seeing is energy spiraling out of control. Let's have a look. And really wanting to take advantage of that moment in history, that moment in time. A show of strength, a show of force, really dominating. He kept using the word dominate. Show me whether or not he intended a type of military authoritarian push, dictatorship push involving the military. I think he expected it. The Four of Wands coming together, the community is the signifier card. The overall energy was beyond what Trump was doing, which is why it didn't work. He wanted some kind. This was a plan that he had been talking about, conferencing about, being advised about. But look what happened. There was the community there, and the passion and the inspiration was overwhelming. Let's just draw a couple of more cards. He did lose, okay, but this was also capitalizing on the vulnerability of what was going on at the time. And here we have the Page of Pentacles. It was a deflection as well, a deflection from news perhaps that is coming up, because this is a karmic card, the Wheel of Fortune, trying to turn things in his favour and stall the ending in some way, because this is what we see. We see him in decline, and he's just going to keep becoming desperate. But of course, when I look at these cards, I see a transformational energy which shifted that wheel in another direction that Trump wasn't figuring on. Yeah, okay, so yeah, so we've got partnerships, collaborations. We do have the Hierophant, a higher source, and here we have Trump. So I do feel Trump wanting to stoke, this was his attempt to stoke the flames of division here. But look what we've got instead of that, or coming up here. We do have the King of Cups, energy moving through. Okay, so I do feel, and I've read on Barr in the past, I do feel Barr played an instrumental role in a leadership role in that whole matter. All right, so what does he have? What does he have up his sleeve? So if all of those political strategies are not going to work, what is the worst that Trump is planning? So the military have made it clear they're not going to be involved in any sort of military coup. He can't talk up the economy because it's not. There's nothing to talk it up about. Is this what Make America Great means? So what other strategies can he do? I go back to that Senate hearing. Okay, so what is the worst that Trump can do? What is the worst that Trump can do? I'm still getting a pull to activating or sending in soldiers, but this is the government, so he's going to do things through the government in some way. What is this? The past? Going back to the past? Okay, so the sword of truth is actually going to prevent him. So what these prevent him from doing too much. So what I'm getting here is I'm getting a pull to the courts, the going back to the past, some events in the past, and the Ace of Swords here. So he could be going to try and prevent the truth from coming out, but how? How could he do that? We've got the Three of Cups here, which is that kind of coming together between parties. The Four of Pentacles holding back information. So it is his money information that he's trying to hold back here. Okay, so this is what could be what he is working on or trying to work on. Absolutely. Absolutely, it is around his business. The Queen of Cups in the here and now, though, we have the revelations occurring, this kind of more nurturing energy. We've got the Nine of Pentacles, independence and freedom and nurturing, two really good cards in the present here. But what is he trying to do? The Two of Pentacles, he is trying to juggle and manipulate information that might be coming out that is detrimental to him in relation to the economy and in relation to national security. We do have an abuse of power here, the Five of Swords, and we do have overseas influences. So here's what I think. Here's what I think he's going to do in the future. He's going to do a few things. He is going to try and hold back information coming out that might be detrimental to him, things that occurred in the past. He's going to try and do that through activating the DOJ to challenge anything and everything and run out the clock. He is very insecure about that information coming out. Because this is concerning his own personal business and how he made his money and what money he is still making. But this also includes national security. So he has Ratcliffe now as his Director of National Security. So watch around that area. Ratcliffe is already releasing, declassifying documents and putting them out there. This is an abuse of power, no doubt about it. But this is what worries me, this Three of Wands. This is activating foreign influence, foreign interference. It is a partnership that he is developing between overseas countries to interfere in the election. However, this is why he's doing it. He is worried about losing the election, the wheel shifting and turning against him, remembering he has been in the past lucky enough to escape prosecution. But will he this time? Will he this time? I'm getting there is a breakthrough that will occur between now and November. It will bring the tower down upon him. The Knight of Pentacles, again, I go back to whose interests is he serving. This is not going to stop. So while you think that Trump might be in a powerful position, in many ways he's not. In many ways he's not. So look to manipulating government information or figures, ratcheting up the Senate inquiry into the origins of the Russian investigation. It could also be holding back Volume 5. Where is Volume 5 of the intelligence report that ran concurrently with the Mueller investigation? Trying generally to suppress information, hold it back, but also, again, he appears to be talking with or working with, has he ever stopped, foreign governments in relation to the November election. So again, what can they do? They can run social media interference campaigns, and this is why Facebook needs to get its house in order. What else can they do? We'll leave that question then for another day, because this reading is at 31 odd minutes. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. Any questions I've missed, I'll come back to. In the meantime, have a great weekend, everybody, and I'm looking forward to the eclipse in Cancer reading that I'll be doing shortly. I just feel a real pull to that. All right. Thank you for your support.